The alarm tore through the corridor before I even reached the door, a sharp pulse of red light bouncing off the metal walls, and I already knew something had broken loose. I ran toward the sound, my boots hitting the floor hard, my breath tight in my chest. Station Cavara was not a place where alarms went off for small reasons. Every light, every siren, meant something had gone wrong fast, and someone was about to pay for it. I turned the corner and found Grace pressed against the wall, her hand raised toward a door that would not fully close. Behind that door, something large was moving, slow and deliberate, testing the edges of its cage. "Stay back, Noah," she said, her voice shaking but firm. It got loose from the restraint clamp. Nobody goes near it without full gear, and even then, I would not trust it. "What is it?" "A Kestravax," she said. "Wild caught, not bred. It bites anything that moves. I mean anything. We lost 2 drones and a research arm trying to feed it. It does not calm down. It does not trust. It just waits for something to get close enough." The door groaned again, metal straining under pressure from the other side. I could hear something breathing on the other end, low and rough, like wind through a broken pipe. "Where is the rest of the response team?" I asked. "On the far side of the station. There was a pressure leak near the docking bay. Everyone is there. It will take them 10 minutes to get back, maybe more." 10 minutes was a long time for a door that sounded like it was about to give. "We do not have 10 minutes, I said. "Then we wait outside, and we hope the door holds," Grace said. "That is the plan, Noah. That is the only plan." I looked at the door. It was already bending at the hinge, a thin line of light bleeding through the gap where the metal had started to separate. Whatever was inside was strong enough to bend steel plating, and it was not stopping. I stepped closer. "What are you doing?" Grace said, grabbing my arm. "Did you not hear what I said? It bites anything that moves." "I heard you. Then why are you walking toward it?" I did not have a clean answer, not one that would satisfy her in that moment. So I just kept walking, slow, my hands open at my sides, my palms turned out where anything watching could see them. The door gave way with a final groan and folded inward, and the creature stepped through the gap into the corridor. It was larger than I expected, its body covered in overlapping plates that shifted and clicked as it moved, its head low and wide, 2 eyes set deep beneath a ridge of bone that looked built for taking impact rather than giving expression. It did not roar, it did not lunge, it simply stopped, and it looked at me, and I understood in that moment that everything Grace had told me was true. This was not an animal that trusted anyone. This was an animal that had learned, somewhere along the way, that every hand reaching toward it carried a needle, a chain, or a blade. Grace was still behind me, whispering my name like a warning she thought might reach me before it was too late. I stopped walking. I did not raise my hands higher. I did not step back either. The Kestravax took a step forward, testing the space between us, its plated feet clicking softly against the metal floor. Every instinct in my body told me to run, and I understood why. This was not a small risk. This was a creature that had already proven, more than once, that it could cause real harm to anyone who came near. But running from something that already sees you as a threat rarely makes it decide you are not one. I lowered myself down, slow, until I was sitting on the floor of the corridor, my legs crossed, my hands resting loosely on my knees. I kept my eyes low, not staring directly at it, because staring can look like a challenge to almost anything that hunts for a living. "Noah, get up," Grace said, her voice barely a whisper now. "Please." I did not answer her. I did not want my voice to carry any fear into that space, because animals, wherever they come from, whatever star they were born under, tend to notice fear before they notice anything else. The Kestravax lowered its head slightly, studying me the way a creature studies something it has not decided about yet. Its breathing slowed. The clicking of its plates settled into something quieter, less urgent. Minutes passed. I do not know exactly how many, because I was counting my own breaths instead of the clock, trying to keep them slow and even, trying to become something boring enough that it stopped feeling like a threat worth reacting to. The creature took another step closer, then another. Its shadow fell over me, wide and heavy, blocking the light from the corridor above. Grace had gone completely silent behind me, and I could only imagine what she was thinking, standing there, watching a creature that had already broken through solid steel, getting closer to someone who had nothing to protect himself with but stillness. I held one hand out, palm up, not reaching toward it, just letting it exist in the space between us, an offer rather than a demand. The Kestravax lowered its head toward my hand. I felt its breath first, warm and heavy, moving across my fingers, and then, slowly, it pressed its head into my palm. I did not move. I scratched gently along the ridge above its eye, where the plating gave way to something softer, something closer to skin, and the creature made a low sound in its chest, a sound that did not carry any warning in it at all. "It is letting you touch it," Grace said, her voice barely above a breath. "It has never let anyone touch it, not once, not in 3 years." "It was never given a reason to try something different," I said quietly, still scratching, still keeping my movements slow and steady. The Kestravax leaned its weight against my hand, its whole body relaxing in a way that seemed almost impossible, given what it had done to the door only minutes before. Its breathing slowed further, and the low sound in its chest grew steadier, softer, something closer to comfort than warning. Footsteps echoed from the far end of the corridor, and I turned my head just enough to see the response team arriving, weapons raised, ready for a fight that no longer needed to happen. "Hold your positions," Grace called out to them, her hand raised. "Do not move. Do not raise anything higher. It is calm right now, and I want it to stay that way." The team slowed, confusion clear on their faces, as they took in the sight of a massive creature leaning its head into the hand of someone sitting calmly on the floor of a corridor it had just broken into. I kept scratching, slow and even, and the Kestravax closed its eyes, its breathing settling into something almost peaceful. "I have read every file on this creature," Grace said, stepping closer now, careful, her voice steady but full of something that sounded like disbelief. "Every report said the same thing: aggressive, untrainable, dangerous around any form of contact. Nobody wrote anything close to what I am watching right now. Maybe nobody sat still long enough to let it decide." The creature shifted slightly, moving its head to rest more fully against my palm, and for the first time since the alarm had gone off, the corridor felt quiet, the tension gone from the air, replaced by something calmer, something that felt almost ordinary despite everything that had happened in the minutes before. Grace crouched down a short distance away, watching closely, her earlier fear replaced with something like careful curiosity. "You could have been badly hurt," she said. "You do understand that." I understood that the moment I heard the door bending, I said, but running from it would not have solved anything. It would have chased, and then someone else would have been standing where I am standing now, without any warning at all. "That is not a plan," Grace said. "That is a risk nobody should take." "Maybe," I said, "but sometimes the biggest risk is doing nothing, and hoping the danger stays behind a door that is already breaking." The Kestravax opened its eyes again, looking at me with something that no longer resembled a threat, something closer to trust, fragile and new, built in the span of a few quiet minutes on the floor of a corridor that had almost become a very different kind of story. The response team lowered their weapons slowly, watching as the creature settled fully against my side, its plated body warm and heavy, its breathing slow and steady. "I will need to write all of this in the report," Grace said, shaking her head slightly, a small, tired smile crossing her face for the first time since the alarm had gone off. "Nobody is going to believe a word of it. Write what you saw," I said. The Kestravax made another low sound, quieter this time, almost content, and outside the corridor, the station alarms finally fell silent, leaving only the sound of steady breathing, one creature and one person, sitting together in a space that had nearly become something far more dangerous.